more than 100 years. Before Qin Shi Huang unified China, the state of Qin was not yet the unstoppable empire we remember today. It was only one of the 7 warring states. It was powerful but not dominant. It had land but not enough strength. And at any moment, it could have been swallowed by its rivals. So how did Qin transform from a relatively weak Western state into the machine that conquered all of China? The answer begins with one of the most important and most controversial reformers in Chinese history, Shang Yang. His reforms made Qin rich. His laws made Qin strong. His system created one of the most disciplined military states in ancient China. But the same laws that built Qin's spire would eventually destroy Shang Yang himself. This is the story of Shang Yang's reform and how it paved the way for Qin Shi Huang as unification of China. By the late Warring States period, the political map of China was dominated by 7 major powers. Qin Shi Huang Zhao Wei and Qin. Among them, Qin occupied the western frontier. Earlier, Zhuge Mu of Qin had expanded Qin's influence and laid the foundation for future growth. But after Duke Mu, many Qin rulers failed to make major achievements. By the time Duke Zhao of Qin came to power, Qin was still one of the 7 warring states, but it was far from the strongest. The state faced constant pressure from its neighbors. If Qin wanted to survive, it had to change. Zhuge Jiao was young when he took the throne, only about 21 years old, but he was ambitious. He understood that Qin could not rely on old traditions if it wanted to compete with stronger states. So he issued the bold announcement: anyone who could offer a strategy to make Qin powerful would be rewarded with land and high office. This was a remarkable promise. In an age when land meant status, wealth, and political power, Zhuge Xiao suffer attracted ambitious men from across the states. One of them was Shang Yang. Shang Yang was originally from the state of Wei. In his early career, he served under Gongsun Kuo. The prime minister of Wei, Gongsun Kuo, recognized Shang Yang's talent and wanted to recommend him to the ruler of Wei. But before he could properly promote Shang Yang, Gongsun Kuo became seriously ill. When the king of Wei visited him, he asked, "If something happens to you, who can take your place?" Gongsun Kuo recommended Shang Yang. He told the king that although Shang Yang was young, he was extremely capable and should be entrusted with the affairs of the state. But the king did not accept the suggestion. Seeing this, Gongsun Kuo gave the king another warning: if you do not use Shang Yang, then you must kill him. Do not let him leave Wei. After the king left, Gongsun Kuo immediately warned Shang Yang to flee. But Shang Yang remained calm. He said in effect, if the king would not listen to you when you told him to use me, why would he listen when you told him to kill me? And Shang Yang was right. The king of Wei ignored both pieces of advice. Shang Yang stayed alive, but he had no future in Wei. Then he heard about Duke Zhao's call for talent in Qin. So Shang Yang went west. When Shang Yang arrived in Qin, he had no powerful relatives, no old friends, and no political network. Meeting the ruler was not easy, so he found a way through Jing Jin, a trusted attendant of Duke Zhao. Later generations criticized Shang Yang for using this route. But realistically, without such an introduction, a foreign advisor like him may never have reached the ruler at all. Shang Yang met Duke Zhao 4 times. The first time, he spoke about the ancient sage, kings, and the way of moral rule. Duke Zhao was bored. After Shang Yang left, the Jew criticized him as someone who only spoke empty words. The second time, Shang Yang discussed King Lai Wei, the ideals of rulers like Yu, Chang King Wen, and King Wu. Zhuge Xiao still was not impressed. The third time, Shang Yang spoke about the way of hegemony, how the Powerful rulers of the spring and autumn period dominated other states. This time Duke Xiao became interested, but it was the fourth meeting that changed everything. Shang Yang spoke directly about how to make Qin strong. Not moral ideals, not ancient legends, not distant models of virtue. He spoke about power law, agriculture, military discipline, administration, and state control. This was exactly what Duke Xiao wanted to hear. From that moment on, Duke Xiao decided to use Shang Yang, and with the ruler's full support, Shang Yang began one of the most famous reforms in Chinese history. Shang Yang's reforms can be divided into two major areas: political reform and economic reform. Let's start with politics. The first major reform was administrative centralization. Shang Yang merged smaller towns and settlements into counties. Each county was governed by officials appointed directly by the ruler. This may sound ordinary today, but at the time it was revolutionary. It weakened at the local hereditary powers and strength, denied the authority of the central government. In many ways, this was an early form of the county system that Qin Shi Huang would later use after unifying China. The second major reform was the attack on hereditary privilege. Before this period, many noble families inherited offices, titles, and land generation after generation. This was known as a hereditary aristocratic system. The problem was obvious. If officials gained power only because of birth, talented people from lower backgrounds had no way to rise. At the same time, powerful noble families could become so strong that they threatened the ruler himself. Shang Yang wanted to break this system. He replaced inherited privilege with a more bureaucratic, performance-based structure. Officials would be appointed by the state. Titles would not simply pass from father to son. Status had to be earned, and the most important way to earn it was through military achievement. This led to one of Shang Yang's most important policies, the military merit system. Under this system, soldiers received ranks and rewards based on battlefield achievements. If a man killed an enemy soldier and brought back proof, he could rise in rank. More achievements meant more rewards. This system had two powerful effects. First, it weakened the old nobility. A noble without military merit could lose status. Second, it motivated ordinary people. For commoners, war became a path to rank, land privilege, and social mobility. As a result, Qin soldiers became fiercely aggressive on the battlefield. To Qin's enemies, they seemed almost like wolves and tigers. They were not just fighting for the state, they were fighting for personal advancement and collective responsibility. Shang Yang also introduced strict systems of social control. One of the most famous was collective responsibility. Families were organized into small groups. If one household committed a crime, the others could also be punished for failing to report it. This created a society where everyone watched everyone else. If someone broke the law, neighbors had an incentive to report them. If they failed to report wrongdoing, they could face severe punishment. To modern audiences, this sounds harsh, and it was. But from the perspective of state building, it gave Qin's government a powerful tool for controlling the population. It made the law reach deep into ordinary life. It also strengthened central authority. Under Shang Yang, the state was not just ruling from above. It was turning society itself into a network of surveillance and discipline. Shang Yang's economic reforms were just as important. The first key policy was the abolition of the old well-field system. In earlier times, land was divided in a pattern that resembled the Chinese character for well. Families worked private plots around a central public plot, and the produce from the Central field went to the state. This system made sense in an earlier agricultural age, but by Shang Yang's time, iron tools had improved productivity. The old land system no longer matched the economic reality, so Shang Yang changed it. He expanded land use, encouraged private agricultural production, and rewarded farming and weaving. Men who produced more grain could be rewarded. Women who produced more cloth could also be recognized. The goal was simple: increase production, make the state richer that feed the army, support expansion. Shang Yang also forced large households to split apart when there were multiple adult males in one family. Why? Because more households meant more registered taxpayers. This increased state revenue. Within only a few years, Qin became much wealthier. But wealth alone was not enough. Qin also needed military strength. So Shang Yang encouraged population movement. Qin had a large territory but relatively few people. Nearby states such as Han, Zhao, and Wei had more people but less land. Shang Yang offered migrants land, housing, and tax exemptions if they moved to Qin. These migrants became agricultural producers. Meanwhile, native Qin people were encouraged to serve as soldiers. This division strengthened Qin in two ways. The migrants farmed the land and increased food production. The Qin natives joined at the army and fought for military rewards. In other words, Shang Yang created a system where agriculture and war supported each other. Food sustained the army. Military victories brought land and status. Land brought more production, and production fed more war. This was the engine of Qin's rise. Of course, reform is never easy. Shang Yang was a foreign advisor in Qin. He had no deep roots among the Qin nobility. His policies threatened powerful aristocratic families. So how could he make people obey his new laws? First, he had to establish credibility. There is a famous story known as 谋vương夫代之 Strollstolo. Shang Yang placed a tall wooden pole at the southern gate of the capital and announced, anyone who moved it to the northern gate would receive a large reward. At first, no one believed him. The task was too simple. The reward was too generous. People assumed it was a trick. So Shang Yang increased the reward. Finally, one man moved the pole. Shang Yang immediately paid him. The message spread quickly. When Shang Yang gave an order, he meant it. When the state promised a reward, it delivered. This was not a small gesture. For reform to work, people had to believe that laws and rewards were real. Shang Yang understood that political authority depends not only on punishment, but also on trust. The second challenge was even harder. Could the law punish the powerful? Ordinary people were easier to control. They had no political protection, but nobles and royal relatives often believed they were above the law. Then came a major test. The crown prince violated the law. Shang Yang could not directly punish the crown prince because he was the future ruler. So he punished the prince's tutors instead. One tutor received a heavy punishment. Another was branded on the face. They sent a terrifying message. Even people close to the throne were not beyond the law. But it also created deep enemies. The crown prince hated Shang Yang. The punished tutors hated him even more. And years later, when Duke Zhao died and the crown prince came to power, those old enemies finally had their chance. One of the punished tutors accused Shang Yang of rebellion. The new ruler ordered Shang Yang's arrest. Shang Yang fled. He tried to escape eastward to Wei, the state where he had once served. On the way, he stopped at an inn and asked for shelter. But the innkeeper demanded identification documents. Shang Yang had none. The innkeeper refused to let him stay, saying that under Shang Yang's own laws, sheltering an unidentified person could bring punishment. At that moment, Shang Yang realized the irony. The laws he had created were now blocking his own escape. He continued toward Wei, but Wei refused to accept him. Years earlier, Shang Yang had led Qin forces against Wei and helped seize important territory. Wei still hated him. Instead of protecting him, they sent him back to Qin. There Shang Yang was executed by being torn apart by chariots, one of the most brutal punishments of the ancient world. The reformer who made Qin strong died under the very system of harsh law that he had helped create. So how should we judge Shang Yang? He was ruthless, his laws were severe. His reforms placed the power of the state above the freedom of the individual. But historically, there is no denying his impact. Shang Yang transformed Qin. He weakened hereditary aristocrats. He strengthened central authority. He rewarded military achievement. He expanded agricultural production. He created a disciplined society built around farming, war law, and state power. Before Shang Yang, Qin was only one of several competing states. After Shang Yang, Qin began its rise toward dominance. More than a century later, Qin Shi Huang would unify China. That achievement was not created by Qin Shi Huang alone. It was built on generations of Qin rulers, soldiers, officials, and reforms. And among those reforms, Shang Yang's was one of the most decisive. His life ended in tragedy, but his system survived, and that system became one of the foundations of the Qin Empire. Shang Yang's story lives. You ask with a powerful question: can a system built on harsh law and absolute discipline make a state strong, even if it destroys the people who created it? In Qin's case, the answer was yes. Shang Yang died, but Qin rose. And eventually, that rising state would change the course of Chinese history forever. Thanks for watching. In the next episode, we will look at how the rise of Qin forced the other 6 states to respond, and how two famous strategists, Su Qin and Zhang Yi, shaped the struggle between alliance and conquest during the Warring States period.